Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Times coming in through the YouTube link, and so he put me on the Master B, and I was able to come in pretty easily.
I got you. Paul, what time zone are you in?
Eastern. I'm Eastern.
Oh, you're
time
in.
zone.
Okay, you're in the same as mine.
Yeah.
Do you catch?
Yeah. What's the? Go ahead. Can I what?
Oh, no, I was just going to ask you. Do you catch most of the evening shows like Patricia Steers and the Mark Sargents that come on like at 6 or 7 or so?
Sometimes. Most of the time, I'm working. I work in the evenings, so it's hard for me to really get out and do or listen to anything. I try to catch Anthony if he's on doing his show. I kind of got away from Patricia. I guess she was good when I first started because she kind of introduced you to everybody that's out there in the flat Earth world, But I kind of just left it behind a little bit because I think it's just it's social. I know what she's trying to do. She's trying to create a bridge and talk to get people out there to be known. I just got tired of the constant interviews. But sometimes I'll jump in and listen to it.
She did a show yesterday with Robbie Davidson. Did you saw the Logan Paul thing, right?
No, not yet. Honestly, I still haven't seen it. And honestly, if he's going to be like a jackass kind of thing, it's not something I'm really.
Yeah, well, to me anyway, it's one of those things where you kind of got to read in between the lines, and I don't. And what I'm noticing is that like not everybody, but a lot of people are kind of going on air saying how Logan Paul tricked him and used him, and that's what she had a show on yesterday, and Robbie was just apologizing, and he didn't do anywhere near the damage that Beyond the Curve did. And I noticed that Patricia and those guys, they're playing Beyond the Curve off like it was because it kind of helped them personally. It got them attention personally. So they like Beyond the Curve, but they don't like Logan Paul because they didn't get any personal recognition. So they feel that Logan Paul did more damage. They were just really trashing the guy. So I was in the chat and I was kind of promoting Logan Paul. I was like, Logan Paul for Flat Earth president, and it didn't take a couple times of doing it before I got blocked.
Yeah, one thing I learned in this world in general from everything I've looked at, I think, like, as soon as you start, you could do one of two things. If you start making fun of something, you can actually create. I think that's what Mark Sargent says a lot. He says that actually could be good press because it gets people looking at it. And the other side is the same thing. You could, making fun of it, criticizing it, or censoring it. All that will force people to start looking at it a little bit harder, a little bit deeper. Why are they doing this? And I mean, I'm really not interested in watching Beyond the Measurement Curve. I've heard so many people talk about it. I mean, I knew as soon as you're going to get anybody going to come in and try to look at it, they're automatically going to cast it in a bad light, no matter what. No matter what they say, no matter what what they do, if they've already got a preconceived bias against it, it's going to be a hit piece. It's just going to be something just to, So, I mean, anyway, they're always going to pick and choose what they want to show to get their point across. You can say everything right, and then just pick and choose what you want to hear. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed with Logan Paul, though, when he was in that conversation with Robbie Davidson, he basically had the attitude that nobody's going to stop him from doing anything. And see, I remember that. And I can kind of tell that if this is the kind of guy that has that attitude, then he's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to figure out a way to pull it off without you stopping him. See, so that's kind of what I got out of that documentary. He pulled off Flat Earth and nobody could stop him. See, so he did what he set out to do. It's just that people don't understand what he was doing. So now the very people that he set out to help are trashing him. See, Patricia Steer and Robbie, they were trashing the crap out of this guy. But this guy just did Flat Earth the biggest favor it has ever been done to this point. That's what I got out of it.
Well, it makes me want to go watch it just to see that then. So,
yeah. Yeah, because see, when I watched it when it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, I had just got out of this hangout with these 4 Globers. It was like a 5-hour talk. So that finally ended, and I'm laying down, and this Logan Paul thing popped up. So when I started watching it, in other words, it's like this. When I started watching it, I was intrigued right from the start. I mean, in other words, I didn't feel like this guy was trolling. It didn't feel like, I didn't get that feeling. So I just kept on watching. And as I kept checking the time, I'm looking for, when is this guy going to start condemning? You know, because it ain't happening so far. And then as time running out, I'm like, man, this thing has only got 5 or 6 minutes left. If he's going to do any flat earth damage, he better hurry up and do it. So at the end, that's when he basically denounced flat earth. I'm not a flat earther. So he put it in that span, and then it ended. See, so he didn't spend the whole time trashing flat earth, but he had to do just enough to get his neck out of the guillotine. You understand what I'm saying? So out of a 50-minute episode, he spent 45 minutes with nice kind of information here that you got to pick out. You got to, pick it up. And then he spent the last 5 minutes separating himself, not giving the mainstream something to chop him for.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just have to take a look at it and see. Come back with my opinion.
Because if Logan Paul at the very end of his show would have said, "I am a flat earther," I guarantee you by right now he'd be all messed up. He'd have so many people attacking him. His subscribers would all of a sudden start disappearing. All of a sudden he'd start getting the strikes, and So he in other words, I think he did it was pretty smart the way he pulled it off.
Yeah, I was thinking actually the best way to do something, if you realize it or not, is leave it open ended. Like don't close it out, just leave it hanging. And actually, I think that would do more for either direction, because it'll just create more dialogue. Well, is he or isn't he? Or what does he say? So leaving it completely open ended would probably been the best way to do it. It sounds like if he closed it off.
Paul, you are a smart man.
Well, when I used to teach in church a lot, and sometimes I would bring up a point and not close it off, and resolve it. I create the tension in the room, then sometimes leave the tension hanging there, and then I think that would do sometimes more in the process than me kind of rounding it off and giving an easy answer.
Right.
So
yeah, because what you do then is you provoke more thought.
Mm-hmm.
And
I used to say all the time, sometimes the question has more answers than any answer could ever give.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I see what you're saying. Because once you give that final answer, well, it's over. No more thought processes. Now it's just accept and move on. Whereas if you leave it open, it can generate more learning and knowledge.
Right, more questions, more seeking, more yeah, exactly. I've always challenged the conventional narrative, and like I said, I used to sit in a class, and there's everybody from philosophy, people getting their doctorate in philosophy, to doctors to scientists, and I would push hard against them all the time, and that sometimes that make them mad. So, and challenge theological perceptions, and if you believe that, what's the implication of that? I do that a lot. That's why I ask a lot of questions usually, because I'm actually sometimes leading, sometimes revealing. It depends on the scenario. So.
All right, I'm just switching over to my USB mic. How's that sound?
It sounds good. I have to use a Bluetooth because I have to be not tethered.
Oh, I got you. You got to be able to move around a bit.
Yep.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
What's up, fellas?
Yeah.
Morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
I also posted in the Master B another YouTube. It was called the Corbett Report. I don't know if you've seen that or heard of him. He actually did a piece, I think last week or a week before last, on the problem is the science, the problem that science has, which is, I think it's relevant to what everybody discusses in here. But he also did one just released this week or today or something about how to solve the problem of science. And the biggest thing he said was have an open source, which means everybody has access, so you can collaborate. And that's the one thing I saw in Flat Earth when it first started. That kind of thing was happening. There was a lot of collaboration going on. Instead of everybody fighting against each other, we were building and talking and, hey, what about this? Or let's look at that. And, and it kind of was great. But then all of a sudden now it's like we're getting into that same mentality. Instead of it being a collaborative effort, it's becoming becomes sided. That's just sad.
Oh, you are a very wise man, sir.
Well, there's somebody in the chat that doesn't think so. I'm triggered by his voice. Or my voice triggers him. Sorry, my voice triggers him.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the live Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. And most importantly, if you would like to join this discussion right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on social media. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now we are joined by Slick James Johnson, Paul, Flatten Earth, and Chocolate Saying. Good to have you all.
Morning.
Good
Hello,
morning.
good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Any signs of curvature?
Same as yesterday, nothing.
Yep, same.
Nothing.
Nothing, whole load of nothing. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Yeah, either. Not unless you want to use your imagination, but other than that, no reality of it.
Scientific evidence of gravity?
Once again, that's going to require your imagination.
Yep, no gravity.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
Nothing, once again, it's...
Nope.
Nope.
What about evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
I haven't seen anything myself.
No.
Nope.
Any evidence of the distance?
Nada.
Distance to the sun? Any evidence of
The
that?
distance to the sun is right where it needs to be for your experience.
Good to know. Any evidence of its distance, though?
Well, no. Oh, yeah, no evidence of a distance.
No? What about the presuppositional R value, Earth radius? Anybody? Any more for any more?
I don't have a string long enough to be able to figure it out.
They'd have to make a tape.
Presuppositional means fake, not real.
That concludes the housekeeping. So, Slick, you seem to have a bit of a hard-on for Logan Paul. What's going on?
Well, you know, it's just that I really think Logan Paul's doing a good thing, and I just happened to catch Patricia Steer's show yesterday, and Robbie was on there just apologizing like he made the worst mistake he ever could have made, and I just don't think that they realize what the guy was trying to do, you know, so they just immediately started trashing him, and I just didn't see that. So I was trying to let them know in the chat, hey guys, I don't think you're thinking this through, you know, because it sounded like to me that Patricia and Robbie was doing more damage the more they, you know, talked about it. You know, so I kind of mentioned that a couple of times in the chat, and next thing I know, I was timed out, so that was the end of that.
Fair enough. I remember having a similar attitude towards PewDiePie, so I did two shows, one saying PewDiePie's an idiot, the other one saying PewDiePie's a genius, and I gave similar reasons to you.
Because, you know, what they were saying was that, like, they were basically saying on the show that the Behind the Curve documentary didn't do as much damage as Logan Paul. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, that's not the case, because people came away from Behind the Curve thinking the earth rotates. Logan Paul didn't do any of that. He didn't come in there with anything. You know, he just made a lot of suggestions, and then at the end, he pulled himself out of it, you know, so that you could leave it open. That's why at the end he said, I think that there's no earth at all. See, so now he's not taking any position whatsoever. So now it's left up to the viewer to make up your own mind rather than him putting a stamp on it and trying to lead you one way or the other. See, that's what I got out of it.
Fair enough. Have you watched it now, Paul?
No, not yet. But after talking to Slick, I may watch it. So not yet. I have no opinion at the moment still.
I say Logan Paul for Flat Earth President. That's my new slogan.
Did we get either of your opinions, Flat Earth or Chocolate Sane? Either or?
I would agree with that. The film, he just kind of like stepped out of it. But the acting was just so terrible that it was hard to take.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
No, fair enough. Yeah, it's difficult to watch. I watched it technically with Eben Kim, because he was watching it and doing a full commentary on the whole video. So I got like an extended version with a bit of his commentary in it as well. Hey, Ranty, long time.
How do? Yeah, it's been a while.
You back home now?
Sorry?
Back home? Are you back home now? Are you back in?
Yeah, back home, finally. The car broke down yesterday on the way back, which wasn't much fun. The time we actually got in, I think it was around about 9 o'clock at night, and the car broke down at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Just frustrating, and we left all the suitcase and everything in the car because the hire car that we got came after the tow truck removed the car. And then today we were expecting the car to be at the garage, and it wasn't, so we had to drive to Lancaster Services to go and pick the suitcases up. It's just been an absolute nightmare.
Oh no, well, that's not the end to a good holiday, and you were sick for the whole holiday as well, from what you were telling me.
That's right,
sorry.
and I'm still sick now. Still got the flu, so
Bummer.
One of those things. I know. But on the plus side, I actually went in a second-hand shop, and I picked a couple of paintings out, which caught my eye. They wanted £3 each for them. Turns out they're from the late 18th century, oil on canvas, and combined they're worth about £1,500. So
Wow.
It wasn't such a bad holiday.
That's fantastic. From a thrift shop?
Yeah, from a thrift shop.
Oh wow, that's excellent. Oh, I love those sorts of stories. That's wonderful. Excellent stuff, Franti. Hello, Arwin. How you doing? Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. Is
Hey,
that to me you're
Spurs.
saying? Yeah. Hey, Nathan. Hey, Ranty. Hey,
How do?
Chocolate. Hey,
Hey,
Arwin.
Ranty.
Arwin's got a
I need
like
a
a
proper
voodoo
sound
board.
check this
Paul.
time, by the way,
Hi.
to hear if
So
I can
look,
hear
what it
everyone.
is Miss. I don't know if you know Mr. Grimm. Mr. Grimm. He's Electric Universe, and he says he can prove the globe, but he's worried that.
Is everyone there?
He's worried that
We're
is he
here.
banned? Is he banned, Nathan?
Okay, I can hear you at least, Nathan.
I can hear you, Erwin. Can you see me?
You can't hear any of us by the sounds. You had the same
I
I
can
problem.
hear
can
me,
hear you
Arwin.
now.
Can I be heard?
Who can you hear?
I hear you.
Yes, we can
I
hear
seem
you.
to be hearing everyone. Nobody's being phased out, but yeah, let's hope
I
that
hear you,
doesn't come
Arwin.
back like
Arwin, I hear you.
yesterday's.
I hear Arwin. I hear you.
So
This
it
is
seems
gonna
to be working fine now.
You're
Hello,
heard.
Anon. Hold on 1 second, everyone. Hello, Anon. Can you hear us?
Hey, Nathan.
Good to have you. So, Spurs, you were saying about Mr. Grimm Electric Universe we got to.
Yeah, he's worried that he's banned. He's worried that he won't be able to speak or I don't know, say what he wants to say. He's considering joining the panel. He has a lot to say. So I'm just wondering if he can he do that? Is that possible?
I'm not hearing Spurs Schemo for some reason.
I hear you, Arvin. One as well.
It's going to be one of those days. I can just tell. It was similar
yeah.
yesterday. I might bring him in on Skype. If he drops, I'll immediately call him.
I was in a conversation with Mr. Grimm's for about 3 hours.
Yeah, what do you think of Mr. Grimm and the Electric Universe? Do you think
Yes.
have you had a chance to speak with him?
Yes.
Okay.
And the guy is kind of flips. Like when he's talking about Electric Universe, he's very respectable, he's adult, and he's knowledgeable.
Right.
But as soon as he gets off that subject, he turns into 100% troll.
Okay.
So he kind of goes back and forth on you. That's,
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Like
okay?
in other words, he won't let you get a word in edgewise with your story, but he can talk about Electric Universe and he'll just drone on and on forever.
Yeah, that can be a bit of an issue. Like he doesn't have the back and forth. So, like if he says something, you want to ask him a question, he probably won't. But I don't know. I mean, again, we'd have to see. Who knows if he's live on air? It might be because you said he can be respectful. So, I don't know. I mean, would you like to speak? He wants to come on. I think.
Bring him in. Come on in, sir. I don't. Come on in.
Okay, let's see if he wants to.
Yeah, the panel's not full. It might be a good time to do it. Did anybody listen to Riley go with about the flat Earth last night?
I'm up to about an hour and 20 minutes into it.
Yeah, I listened to most of it. I was at the office, so I had it playing while I was doing some work at the office, and because it was raining here, so I couldn't get out. And I think Anthony did a great job, and he was pulling up quotes and pulling up articles, and and trying to get him to agree, and he wouldn't. And then Anthony would ask him for sightings, and he wouldn't do it. He would just keep saying the same thing, and it was kind of. I think Anthony did a great job, going after it, even trying to help move the conversation along. He did. I thought he did good.
Hopefully, one or other will join and give us their side of the story in that regard. I mean, from what I could gather, yeah, because I've got a reasonable understanding of the arguments, I can tell who's winning and losing the arguments. Whether or not that's apparent to a newbie may not be so apparent. From a newbie's perspective, they both held their own. From my perspective, Anthony hammered him. From your perspective, Anthony hammered him. But like I say, I haven't watched all of it yet. There might be some massive U-turn that takes place towards the end of the hangout. But so far, yeah, just as expected. But as I say, hopefully at least maybe we'll get Anthony on. Maybe he'll talk about it if he's listening.
He was making some mistakes here and there, but it was overall pretty good. so long, there's bound to be mistakes when you go at it for so long, one-on-one.
The part that I had trouble listening to was that it was just constant dialogue. It wasn't a whole lot of back and forth. It was like one real long-winded explanation followed by another and kind of back and forth. So it was like nobody was taking a breath.
That's why you've got like double speed and time and a half speed on your settings. Just whizzes by at time and a half.
One thing I know,
it was live though.
Yeah, that's already that. Yeah, it was live. One thing I noticed that kept happening is, you know, I think Anthony would say gravity is not a force. Then Fight the Flat Earth would always say, well, it's not a force, but it is a force. I'm going, really? Are you really saying that?
It's the doublespeak, man. It's just like when he said math is, he was trying to argue that math is reality, but then conceded that math is not reality, but it is, but it's not. So it's like, yeah, brother, work that out.
Like, I think that's the thing I keep noticing. They can't concede any point whatsoever. I think if they feel like they have to concede 1 point, it's just going to demolish the whole thing. Even Anthony conceded, okay, well, I'll just give you Cavendish. You know, he conceded. Even though he didn't, you know, that's maybe the mistake he may have made. I'm not sure what you're seeing, Erwin, but I thought Anthony was just saying, look, okay, let's move past this. We're not getting anywhere, you know. And but he would not. Didn't seem like Fight the Flat Earth would give Anthony any ground whatsoever. That's the biggest thing. That's all.
Limitless channel. If you want to join, feel free. You can criticize all you like.
Nathan, can you just stick this on screen? Because I'm going to rub it in the Limitless channel's face, because he called me a liar when I told him about the painting. So I've just gone and taken a couple of images of them.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So we've got Mr. Grimm here. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, I didn't hear anything from him. I didn't eject him. Colin Turner, thank you very much indeed. He says, demolish the super chat. That's put the last one back on. Cool.
Yeah, and also I picked up this modern piece, and I actually love this.
Yeah.
Look at that. The £3.
He's here now. He's here now. He's here now. I think he's got mic problems, so don't kick him because he's been trying to get in.
There we go.
I think that's really nice. That.
Hold on a second, Ranty. Can't hear you, Mr. Grimvy. Maybe try.
There we go. I think I got it now.
Yeah, we hear you now.
Ah, there you go.
Oh wow! Hey, thanks for having me back. I think it's the first time in what, 2 years?
Something like that. You didn't want the show to be running.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I said that I remember the day that it happened. I said, why are we talking about the Isle of Man when we don't have the GPS data or the environmental data to make a proper refraction index? So it's basically just useless talk.
No, you got mad and banned me.
And then spread a rumor that I porn bombed you, and you porn bombed your show, or somebody porn bombed your show afterwards. But I suspected it was you, so you wouldn't have to have that show on that when I made that statement.
I've never mentioned that. Nevertheless,
you never said that I porn bomb you.
Nope. Do you want to quote me?
I said to you, Mr. Grimm, he doesn't even remember you. You know, you were going on saying, "Oh, Nathan said." I said, "Nathan said it's a lot of people."
Remember me? Are you kidding me?
I know you are. It's not that I don't remember you. I remember you not wanting the show to be around. You wanting the show to go away.
You remember you banning me every single time I ever showed up, being the first person you ever banned. You don't remember that?
Yeah, for wanting the show to go away and not wanting it around. So I was like, okay, if you don't want the show to be around, never come back again. That's kind of my first question. Given that you didn't want the show to be around, why do you want on?
No, what I said was, if we got to the bottom of this, I don't feel like you're being honest, Nathan, because if we were to get to the bottom of this tomorrow, then you wouldn't have a show anymore. That's literally verbatim what I said.
All right.
No, you're wrong. Oh, go on, Nathan.
Anyway, moving on. Apparently, you've got something.
Anyway, like I'm saying, glad to have you back. I don't mean to hash up some old stuff, but let's talk about the Earth or the sunrise or the sunset or some observations or something. What are you guys into?
Or gas pressure, Mr. Green. Gas pressure. What do you know about
gas pressure or light or refraction or whatever you want to talk about.
I'm happy to go with your first
Why
claim.
is it? Why is it that you think the Earth is flat? If you don't mind me asking.
Obviously and observably, when you look at it, it's flat. So your first assertion was about the sun. What about it? What's your claim in that regard?
What assertion was that? Go ahead, tell me.
Well, you said let's talk about the sun.
Was that an assertion or was it a question? Like,
well, I'm asking. What's your
sun?
claim? What's your claim in that regard?
I just wanted to make sure that you understand that I didn't make an assertion yet.
My bad. What's your claim in regards to the sun, Grim?
Well, my claim is that the sun is actually moving in space, and that we revolve around the sun as we spin on our axis. And my claim is also that all of our observations show us that that is actually true. The observations from day to night, those actually support as evidence that what I'm seeing is true. The sun, the moon setting and rising, those are evidences that it's true. They don't change in angular size.
Hold on, Grim. Sorry, don't scattergun us. Sorry, Grim. I don't want you to.
Oh, so you want me to only give you a couple of my evidences?
Yeah. So we can actually address them rather than having 20 at once. So,
okay, that makes sense.
What's true? You said that it's true. I don't know what you're claiming still.
Oh well, we were talking in relevance to the model, that the model is true.
Model? We don't live on a model.
I know. So the fact that our observations, right, they match what the model is that we have made from our observations. That's what I mean is true.
Well, explain to me. So what observation and what are you claiming based on the observation? I'm still not clear about what you actually claim.
I gave you a list of 2, and I thought you were going to respond to those 2.
You haven't claimed anything yet.
Right, I did though.
Explain it to me. Maybe I'm slow. I don't know what you're claiming. Sorry.
Sun setting. You seem to skim right over the sunrise and the sunset as if it's not a phenomenon that actually shows that the Earth is spinning and that.
Oh, so your claim? Okay, I'm there. So your claim,
or at least
sunrise,
not flat.
That the sunrise and sunset prove we're spinning. Is that your claim?
I'm saying that is evidence that we are spinning. Those are some of the evidence. Remember I said I had about a list of 30 evidences, but
yeah, and I said I don't want 30. Let's just go through one of them, Grim.
So now you're trying to posit as if it's also.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Hey Joseph, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Grim, stop.
Hold on, Joseph. Can you hear us? Hello.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Good to have you. What's your deal, Joseph?
Say again, sorry.
What's your deal?
Oh, I'm just here to join in on the conversation.
Cool. So, what side of the fence do you sit?
I am a traditional believer in conventional science.
Okay. Me too.
Terrific.
What does that mean? What side of the fence do you sit on?
Well, I go with the side that conventional science offers us today.
Science?
Regarding the Earth.
Science?
Yes.
Science is a method. So, was there some specific experiment that you're referring to, and what does it point to?
Well, there's
science isn't a method.
Yeah, I wasn't talking to you, Grim. Grim, you're going to get ejected real fast if you interrupt this conversation, Grim. Nobody talk to you. Grim, I tell you what, Grim, this is your last opportunity. When I talk to you, you will know because I will address you by your name. So at the moment, the person I'm addressing is Joseph. So,
Spurs, if you appreciate not muting me while I'm...
I'll kick you out because I haven't stopped him from muting you because I'm trying to talk to someone else, not you.
I know, but to me, you know what that looks like to me, Nathan? It looks like to me you're running away from our conversation.
Yeah, shut the fuck up and get out my hangout. If you can't shut your mouth, I'll kick you out, Grim. Didn't get long before we got to the same asshole we banned about 2 years ago. So piss off, don't come back. If you want to join in the conversation, you'll play nice and not interrupt other people's conversation. Joseph's been very polite, not interrupted you interrupting him. Now we'll hear what Joseph's got to say about some sort of science or experiment that he's got that backs up some belief we don't know what he's got yet. So we'll find that out hopefully in due course. My bad, Joseph. You go ahead.
No, it's all good. So one thing that is often disputed is that the Earth spins. Would I be incorrect about that assessment?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah, so I said one common criticism that I often hear is that the Earth is not spinning. Would that be a correct assessment?
Yeah. Stationary.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm trying to establish where you stand though. So, are you asserting?
I believe that the Earth is an oblate spheroid, and that we are in a solar system, and the Earth travels around the sun, etc. So that's what I mean by conventional science, because that's what conventional science offers in the realm of cosmology and astrophysics, right?
Well, sorry.
You're a para-earther.
Oh, Arwin. So what? So you just said astrophysics. That's pseudoscience. You asserted science at the beginning. Now you're talking about pseudoscience.
Well, if you're going to say that astrophysics is pseudoscience, that would be a claim that you would have to demonstrate.
Okay. Show me any assertion made by pseudoscience that has an independent variable, dependent variable, and an adherence to the scientific method. Go.
Well, that's not an argument. That's a question.
Well, you're claiming it is science. I'm claiming it isn't.
No. Listen, what I'm saying is that we have established understandings of certain areas of research, right? And those areas of research have been given certain names. The umbrella term that we use with those subsets the umbrella term is called science, right? And underneath that, we have biology, astrophysics, chemistry, et cetera, right? So to say that one of those categories is a pseudoscience would be a positive claim that you're putting forth. And that would be a claim that you would have to demonstrate either through some sort of argument with evidence or a combination of the two.
No problem. Do you know what pseudoscience is?
I have a loose definition in my mind.
Let me know what you think it is.
Of what it is.
Okay, let me know.
So I can give an example to demonstrate as opposed to giving some crappy definition. So a pseudoscience would be something like homeopathy or alchemy.
Okay, what makes it pseudoscience?
The fact that none of the results are consistent, and there's no experiments to demonstrate the effectiveness of the methods that are used in homeopathy.
Oh, really?
Hold on, Arwin.
We attacked homeopathy.
Oh, my bad, Arwin. So what you're saying is because they don't have experiments to back them, hypothesis tests to back them, they're pseudoscience. So in essence, a non-adherence to the experimental practices.
Well, let's just do this then. I'll just Google the definition of pseudoscience.
Well, it's all right. I already know. You don't need to. I've just asked you.
No,
what you said.
For myself.
I was in the middle of talking. I can tell you, it's a non-adherence to the scientific methods. That's pseudoscience. So you were correct because they don't back what they claim with experiments. It's pseudoscience, non-adherence to the scientific method. That is the definition. Just to save you the bother. So it's pseudoscience because it doesn't back itself with systematic hypothesis tests, experiments. So my first question to you was give me an astrophysicist's experiment.
I'm not understanding your question. I don't think
No problem. I'll explain. You have declared that these sit under an umbrella of science. I asserted no, astrophysics is a pseudoscience. We've then clarified what is pseudoscience. A non-adherence to the scientific method. When you clarified it, you defined it as having no experiments, otherwise known as hypothesis tests. When I asked you originally for an independent and dependent variable hypothesis, that would be the thing that would be experimented upon to prove a cause of an effect. I'm asking you for that for astrophysics so that we can determine... I haven't finished. So that we can determine whether or not it's adhered to the scientific method. Because if it hasn't, it is pseudoscience. So I would like any astrophysicist's experiment with its independent and dependent variable.
So one thing you're able to do is with a powerful enough telescope is track things like stars and their positions in the sky, for example.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Can
that's
you
what you can
so
do.
Arwin,
The stars.
Arwin. Sorry, I asked for a hypothesis. That wasn't
No,
one.
I was giving you an experiment that you
think that's an experiment? Yes, an
Well,
experiment would.
it would be
Sorry,
a type of
I'm talking.
experiment.
I didn't interrupt you. Now shut
there's no
your
need to be
mouth
upset.
while I clarify what you have not given me. An experiment, as you have just declared, would be a hypothesis test. It would contain an observed phenomena, otherwise known as a dependent variable. It would also contain a presumed cause of said phenomena, otherwise known as an independent variable. I have asked you 3 times to give me those things, not tell me about what a telescope looks at and declare that it's an experiment. I want a hypothesis with its independent and dependent variable, so we can check if it adheres to the scientific method or not. If it does not, then it is pseudoscience as correctly asserted by me. Take your time.
I just want to make sure you're finished so you don't get angry.
He'll get angry anyway, so don't worry about it.
I'll get angry if you don't give me an independent and dependent variable used by an astrophysicist, because that's what you need for it to be an adherence to the scientific method. If you don't have it, I'm expecting you to concede you're wrong and correctly assert that astrophysicists are pseudoscientists, as they are.
Okay, I wouldn't say that's a good reason to get angry, but anyways, so a hypothesis would be something like life is finite, right? That's something that would be fair.
No, so that's not a hypothesis.
It's not an educated guess. That's what a hypothesis is, right?
No,
a hypothesis is.
Sorry, Arwin.
No?
Arwin.
Oh.
Why am I having to rumpus? Why is my own side rumpusing me? Why does this happen every time I listen back to the show? I have to fight with Arwin.
I'll shut up. I'll shut up.
Right. No, that's not a hypothesis.
May I read what a hypothesis is off to you? Just so we're all on the same page, right?
Do you want to share your screen? No. Do you want to share your screen so we can see what you're reading from, please?
Yeah, I'm just going off of Google. So hold on, just give me a second. Do a quick little screen share. Man, you guys don't trust no one around here, eh? Holy. Okay.
We're all in this mess because we've trusted.
No, I know. I get it. So a hypothesis is a supposition or proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. So life is finite would be a hypothesis, right? So we could expand that into other things. So we could expand that to, so if life is finite, that means things within the universe have a shelf life. So let's observe some of those things. So now we can get to the experimentation part of it.
You're reading the wrong one. You seem to be reading the colloquial. Sorry, yeah, you seem to be reading the colloquial definition. Were we not specific? Sorry, I've interrupted you to make a correction because you seem to be reading the colloquial definition when we are quite specifically talking about science.
Well, then I'll type in science.
Bear with me.
Definition.
Could you please read the right hand? Why have you just changed the screen? Oh, it's okay. It's still there.
It's taking me to the same place. So it's
it's all right. Can you read that definition, please?
Sure. It's just going to expound further on what I'm saying.
No. You read the colloquial definition.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah.
So a hypothesis is a proposed explanation for a phenomenon.
Stop. Oops. What's a phenomena called? Stop.
Right?
I don't need you to talk any further. That's all you need to say. A proposed explanation for a phenomena, correct?
Yeah, so life is finite would be a hypothesis.
Talking. Yes, so we have a proposed explanation for a phenomena, otherwise known as a dependent variable. So the dependent variable and independent variable were specifically what I asked for, and there we have it. Hypothesis and explanation for a phenomenon. So your dependent variable in the hypothesis is the phenomenon. So let's start there with your definition. What's the phenomenon being observed in your experiment? The dependent variable.
Lights in the sky.
Excellent. So Now you give me the presumed cause, otherwise known as an independent variable, for those lights in the sky to make this a valid scientific experiment. What's the cause of the lights in the sky?
Well, we don't know the cause. That's why we do.
So this isn't science then, Sunshine, because we would require an independent variable, something that we presume is the cause of the effect, the phenomena that we're trying to research, and we would vary and manipulate that presumed cause in an experiment to prove it is the cause. That's science.
Right. Okay,
now,
but you have to allow me
shut
to
up!
more than...
Shut your mouth!
Okay.
Unless you've got an independent and dependent variable so that you can experiment and perform systematic tests of your hypothesis, then you don't have science. So the fact that you can tell me that you can adhere to step 1, observe a phenomena, doesn't give you science, because observation and declaration isn't varying and manipulating a presumed cause and effect, otherwise known as science. So this is not science. As you correctly declare, you don't know what the cause is. So, Sunshine, this would be pseudoscience, as declared about 10 minutes ago. Not an adherence to the scientific method, not establishing the cause of your effect that you're looking at, but simply a declaration by priests, otherwise known as pseudoscience, a bit like homeopathy, where they don't have experimental backing. So your priests, the ones that look at the sky, declare. They don't experiment, they're pseudoscientists. Now I'd like my concession, please.
Well, I'm not understanding why you're being so hostile with me. I haven't been hostile with you, right?
Yeah, because you're wrong.
I'm not understanding
I'll tell
why
you,
you're calling
don't
me
ask
Sunshine.
rhetorical questions and then keep
I haven't
talking.
called you any names.
Stop talking.
Right?
Don't ask rhetorical questions. I'll give you an answer. I'm hostile because you, the ignorant person,
I didn't ask
here,
a question. I'm
yeah,
saying I don't understand.
talking. You,
no, but I didn't ask you.
You, the ignorant person, has declared
See,
that
again, name calling.
astrophysicists are scientists. That is incorrect. They are.
That's fine.
No, you haven't conceded it yet. So
no, but listen to what I'm saying.
It's
right?
fine. I concede I was wrong.
This is not a conversation.
Yeah, because we've got somebody who's a dumbass and ignorant who I'm trying to school
again with the name calling.
and keeps talking. That's what ignorant people do.
Dude.
They talk like Arwen is when they should shut up and listen. So
is this because I'm a black guy?
I don't know what color you are. I can't see your skin. Is it because I'm white? Is it because I'm white?
The treatment.
Nathan's a black woman.
We have slick here.
I don't know the colour of your skin.
Did I just hear that right? Did you just say he was racist because of the way he's talking to
No,
you?
I'm asking because I'm not understanding why I'm being called names. I haven't been rude to anybody. I haven't been rude to anybody. I haven't called anybody any names. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't been hostile in any fashion.
Okay, now, do you want an answer?
Ignorant.
Do you want an answer? Do you want an answer, or will you just keep talking? Yeah, he'll just keep talking. Do you want an answer to your question? I don't know why I'm being berated.
Look, whoever's speaking to me, I haven't asked a question. What I'm saying is I don't understand the treatment.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Do you want an explanation, or will you continue to talk? That's a question. Do you want an explanation, or will you just continue to talk?
I don't know if I want an explanation as to why I'm being treated so poorly.
You're not being treated poorly. I
would say I am.
So you are going to continue to talk? So you're treating me very poorly by interrupting. You've asked a question. You've clarified that you want some sort of explanation for the treatment. Now I'm giving it you and you're talking over me. You're being called ignorant because you are ignorant. You came in and declared incorrectly that astrophysicists were under the umbrella of science, a method. Then I explained that they were not. We're still explaining it, and rather than conceding it, you're like, oh, that's fair enough, while you talk all over me. I interrupt when you make an incorrect assertion that needs correcting. I don't want the ears of my audience poisoned with your ignorance. So that is why I've had to take time out of my day to explain to somebody who doesn't understand what they're talking about that they're ignorant.
You see,
so you can either shut your mouth and be educated so that in future you're no longer ignorant, but unfortunately you're too keen to talk when you should listen. So that is another demonstration of your ignorance. You're not listening to what I'm saying, you're waiting for your opportunity to talk. So, is it clear that I'm not calling you names? I am absolutely demonstrating that you are ignorant of these facts, i.e., astrophysics is pseudoscience. Fact. Please concede it.
I disagree.
Oh, really? So, even though I've just explained precisely what science is,
I have my own explanation.
Oh, you're talking again. You don't agree, even though you've just had an explanation of precisely what science is using your own definition. So we've gone and had Wikipedia show us that it's observing phenomena. We've asked you what your phenomena is, and your phenomena's the stars, and yet you concede that you can't give us a cause, and you still think it's science.
May I speak? May I speak now? More than a sentence.
Yeah, I was at the end of my point.
I'm going to carry on.
Yeah, I was at the end of my point when you asked for permission to speak. Yeah?
Oh, lordy.
Yeah, being ignorant's frustrating for a lot of people. So, because I was interrupted being asked for permission, I'll repeat myself. Hopefully you'll be able to contain yourself and not ask for permission until there's a pause. I even ran out of breath knowing that you would talk, given the slightest gap. So, given that you cannot give us a cause for your phenomena, you don't have an adherence to the scientific method. A non-adherence to the scientific method is pseudoscience. Now, please tell me where you feel the pseudoscience of astrophysics has an adherence to the scientific method, please.
I'm just making sure you're finished.
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay. So, as I was saying before regarding a hypothesis, right? So it's a proposed explanation for a phenomenon, but for it to be scientific, right? For a hypothesis to be a scientific hypothesis, the scientific method is required, and it has to be something that can be tested, right? That's the important basis of it. So it's not just a proposed explanation for a phenomenon, but it also has to be a phenomenon that can be tested, right? So things like stars we can test for things like the speed of light. We can test for things like their distance based on the speed of light, and we can test their well, not really test, but we can kind of put forth a guess as to their lifespan, right?
Oh,
these are all things that we can all do on our own.
A guess.
With our own telescope and with our own
guess. Sorry, did you say the word guess?
Hold on.
Guess.
I'm still.
Yeah, because you said the word guess. Sorry, you said the word guess.
Still going.
Yeah, guess.
Guys, can I?
No, you can't, Slick. So you said the word guess. So you think that the method for elucidating cause and effect, that would be the scientific method, is actually part of guesswork. That's why I interrupted. You said anybody can do this. The scientific method...
let me ask you a question. Have you ever been hunting?
We're talking about the natural world.
Right, this is the natural world.
Whether or not
with
astrophysics
hunting, right,
is
there's a method
pseudoscience, you're yet to concede, and I'm having to speak slower and slower while I explain to somebody who's ignorant that it's not science. Now we're talking about hunting. Now I'm not interested in a red herring. I'm interested.
It's an analogy.
I'm interested in pointing out to somebody who's ignorant that science elucidates cause and effect. That's what it does. It doesn't look at something and then have a guess about the speed of light, which is what you've declared. It is a method for elucidating cause and effect.
Is that the definition?
That's what science is.
No, it's not. That's not at all what science is.
Really?
What? The science doesn't go, this is the cause and that is the effect, and now we're going to experiment in between. That's not how science works. Science is that you look at the world around you, right? You observe what's around you and you go, okay, I noticed that sometimes the sky gets dark and these puffy things form and water starts to fall from the sky. What is that? Well, we don't know. Okay, well, let's try to figure out what that is. That's what science is.
Yes, a method.
That's all that science does.
Yes.
And then we can from that we can extrapolate the cause and effect from
How
it.
is that done?
But that doesn't mean
how is that done?
Is in the business of discovering the cause and effect of things.
How? We look at the fluffy clouds and we say, how does that happen? Now, you tell me what method would be used to establish what causes that to happen. You tell me what is done to establish that empirically.
What do you mean? It depends on the type of science you're using. It depends on what you're using to figure it out. It would probably be some sort of climate
You just
science.
told me I'm wrong. Now you tell me.
I never said you're wrong. I
So
never
tell
once
me.
uttered those words.
Yeah, so
I never
you
even
tell
said
me.
those words one time. What are you talking about?
You tell me how science. So you tell me how science would establish the cause of an effect, like fluffy clouds or nighttime or any phenomena. You tell me how they establish the cause of it.
How would depend on the method. So if I want to figure out how fast a ball rolls down a hill, for example, right? I would have to use measurement, and I would have to use some sort of speed calculations.
It's not a natural phenomena. That's not a natural phenomena. Science is
ball
interested.
rolling down a hill. You've never seen a boulder roll down a hill?
A boulder rolling down a hill.
Yes, roll down a hill or a mudslide. You've never seen that? That's
Sorry,
a natural
a
phenomenon.
mudslide and a ball rolling down a hill.
A boulder, like, you know, when you're driving on the highway and they have those warning signs, warning, falling rocks, right? That's the same phenomena as a ball rolling down the hill.
Okay.
It's the exact same thing.
No
The only
worries.
difference is I would be pushing the ball as opposed to nature pushing down the boulder.
Okay.
That's
so
the
we've
only
got
difference.
a phenomenon of boulder falling. Now you tell me how science would elucidate the cause of that effect, please.
It depends on the method. So they
You keep saying it depends on the method. Tell me what method you will use, Dick Brain. You're starting to become irritating. Don't tell me it depends on the method. We're talking about science. So we are talking about the scientific method. I'm just trying to ascertain if you know what it is. Everyone on the panel knows what it is, and they know that you don't. I'm just highlighting that by my questions. Don't tell me it depends on the method. Tell me what method you're going to apply.
Measurement and speed calculation.
Measurement's not science, that's maths.
Maths is a science.
Maths is maths. Science elucidates cause and effect. So,
We don't use
no,
mathematical equations in science?
maths is not science. Again, this is why I am calling you ignorant.
So if I Google that,
measuring something. No, measuring something is not science. Systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis, using that formula known as the scientific method to elucidate the cause of a phenomena, otherwise known as an effect, otherwise known as a dependent variable. So I understand this method. I'm asking you, with your phenomena of boulder falling, how you think science would establish the cause of that.
I'm just making sure you're finished.
Joseph, boulder falls, cause. Why did the
we have to figure it out through many ways.
How? With science.
Let's apply some science, Joseph.
Which kind of science would you want to use?
I'm
Right?
I'm asking you made the claim.
For
Boulder
example.
falls.
It's not a claim. We know that boulders fall down hills. That's not a claim.
Yeah.
Then what did that happen?
Hold on, Spurs. Yes, we understand.
Jesus Christ.
Can you stop interrupting?
It's a claim to say that boulders fall down hills. I'm incredulous.
No, it's a phenomenon, isn't it?
Wait, hold on. Did somebody push the boulder?
Spurs.
That would be the observation.
Oh, right.
part.
So now I've got a cross conversation with Spurs. Like,
there you go.
Have given
that
us...
would be the observation part of the experiment, right?
Yeah. Now we want the cause.
Right. So now we're all on the same page and we can play nicely in the sandbox.
So now we need to understand how you think we'll ascertain the cause of that.
How would we ascertain the cause of it? So we'd start by observing. So we'd say, oh my gosh, this boulder fell down the hill. Let's run up the hill and see what happened, right? And then I'm not going to create this whole hypothetical world, but we'd take a series of steps to analyze the area using many different methods of figuring things out. So you'd check the wind, you'd check weather conditions, you would check the actual terrain of where you're standing. Those are all different forms of what we call science, but we use observation as the baseline, right? Because that's the first thing you have to use. You can only use your sense perception first, right? But then we create our own tools that adjust for our personal biases or our personal perceptions of things, right? So we're not getting it 100% wrong. And the reason why we do it with more people is so that we can have one converging idea based on these tools that we use in order to understand something that might trick our sense perception. That's effectively all that science does. It's not some monolithic, scary thing. It's just if you're a child and you dig through the dirt.
No, I don't need you to carry on indefinitely. I don't need you to carry on telling us what it's not. So you have told us what it is. You take steps. I don't need you to now carry on talking. You take steps to go to the top.
I'm trying to have a real conversation here,
yeah,
right?
That's what I'm not a real conversation when you carry on indefinitely. Guys, right, my friend, you're just becoming intolerable. Right. You've explained what it is. I don't need you to expand on it by telling us what it isn't and what you would do with a child. Here, now shut your mouth. We've understood. Joseph, why are you doing this? Every time I open my mouth, you talk. Is this the new Glober tactic? For no reason. It seems clear that this is the new Glober tactic. Every time I open my mouth and demolish a ignorant person, they talk indefinitely over the top of me. So, I will now hopefully summarize what you think is the scientific method for establishing the cause of the phenomena of rock falling. Correct me if I am wrong. At the end, you take steps to the top of the hill, and then you make tools to establish the wind and other variables that might be occurring, and then you get more people to come along and do the same thing. Is that the method that you say we should imply if we are doing science?
I don't know.
Well, maybe you could repeat the method that you've just given us.
Sure. Oh, that's now? You want that now?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
All right. Are we going to continue to have a conversation?
You're becoming very draining right now, bro. Like, just let's go, man.
Man, you guys are just like rude people. I don't understand. Okay, look. The scientific method is a method of procedure that has characterized natural science consisting in systematic observation, measurement, and experiment, and the formulation, testing, and modification of hypotheses.
Apply it to your boulder.
Sorry, that's not what you just said, so it sounds like you've just read that from somewhere. Because my next
100%.
question... Sorry, I'm now talking. I didn't interrupt you. So, I was going to ask you for a citation for what you said previously, which was words to the effect of you go up to the top of the hill and you take measurements of the air temperature and you get more people to come along. I mean, I might go through it after the fact and have another listen to it, but that was not what you just said. So you've just said something completely different.
Would you like me to walk you through it through the definition I've used?
You've used two. The first definition was...
So the first thing that I said was the
that's not your cue to keep talking after me replying with two words. So, your first definition specifically included the words taking steps up the hill. It also included gathering more people and creating tools and taking measurements of the wind. That was your first explanation.
That's a butchered fucking paraphrasing of
Don't
it.
swear.
Anyways,
don't swear.
That is.
Don't
but
swear.
Anyways.
Don't swear. Are you deaf?
Why are you yelling, bro?
Because you're swearing. Because you're swearing.
I never swore. I never even swore.
Well, then you're completely stupid and not even conscious of your own actions.
Oh my Lord Jesus.
Yeah, don't blaspheme either. So, you've read out two completely different explanations for how you believe the cause of the phenomena of rocks falling occurs and how you would establish that cause. The first involved taking steps to go up to the hill. The second was a presumably read from somewhere on Google definition of the scientific method that included the words experiment and hypothesis.
So what I said initially was we would go up to the mountain and make observations, right? We'd have to observe the terrain. We'd have to observe weather conditions, things of that nature, right? That's where we would start. So in the definition that I gave, it's fairly consistent so far. It starts off with consisting in systematic observation. What I just described is systematic observation. It would be observation of many different systems and how they work together in order to
sorry, can I just interrupt? Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, I just need clarity on something. I'm really sorry to interrupt. Did you just say? Did you just say? Did you just say many observations of different systems? Is that what you just said?
The terrain, the weather, the conditions of the wind, those are different systems of the atmosphere. So that would be a correct analysis. If you want to nitpick, wait till the end.
Sorry, do you want to read the definition where it says, where does it say that in the definition that you just read? The second one.
Systematic observation.
So, systematic, you think is the observation of different... Hold on!
Do I have to Google that?
Hold on. You think systematic observation means the observation of many different systems. Am I correct?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to give...
No, it is what you're saying. It's just extremely amusing and stupid that you think it's an observation of multiple systems where it says systematic observation.
Looking on the ground, right? You would dig through the dirt, you would find different samples, you would find different core ideas, looking about how the ground operates. That would be one systematic observation. Another systematic observation would be looking at weather patterns of that area, looking at the climate of that area, trying to figure out how the climate of that area and how the weather of that area erodes rocks and aids them in moving around and being shifted. Those are all systematic observations.
Is that right?
Correct me then if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it means multiply doing the same thing over and
over
again.
No, that's not what I said. I just clarified what I meant, right?
Yeah.
And now
you clarified it as being lots of different
misinterpretation.
things, and also as being looking at lots of different systems.
Okay, so I can continue on what I'm doing, or you can continue nitpicking. Anyways, so it's fairly consistent with what I said so far. So systematic observation, that was the first part of what I said. Measurement and experiment. So measurement would be what I said. We would do things like measuring the speed and the rate of which the rock rolls down the hill, and all of those other types of measurements of wind pressure and things of that nature. And then experiment. We would roll a ball down that hill to see if we can recreate that formulation and the formulation, testing and modification of our original hypotheses, right? So everything that I laid out in my example off the top of my head is completely in line with the scientific method. So now we're arguing over nothing.
Let me know when you're done.
It is nothing.
Hold on.
What's
So,
this?
hold on. So
sorry.
the whole point of this was to elucidate the cause of the phenomenon of rocks falling. So,
yes.
So in your process, correct me if I'm wrong, at one stage you roll the ball down the hill. Am I correct?
As a part of the testing, yes.
So you cause the rock to roll.
No, I caused the ball to roll as a part of the testing to see if it matches up with the speed and the rate at which the boulder rolls down the hill.
I see. But you appreciate that what you're trying to establish is the cause of the rock falling. If you are performing... I hadn't finished my sentence, my friend. Yeah, I'm speaking very slowly because quite literally everybody watching this is far more stupid for having listened to what you have to say about it. Now, given that you've told us that in your experiment you will cause the effect, that tells me without any doubt whatsoever that you are absolutely stupid.
100%.
Yeah.
So what do we make of that? Like, what am I supposed to do? Go cry?
No, nobody needs to cry here. I just need the audience to understand implicitly that they are in fact more stupid for having listened to what you had to say on this subject. That you haven't in any way elucidated the cause of the effect that you described, and you haven't got the vaguest notion what needs to be done in a scientific experiment to elucidate the cause of an effect. You think that to elucidate the cause of an effect, you just need to go up to the top of the hill and actually cause it by rolling it down the hill yourself. Now that would be you causing the effect as opposed to establishing what caused the phenomena.
So after we're done collecting all the information, we get to the top of the hill. We can then discern what the cause was. But me rolling the ball down the hill would only be for testing purposes to see if the speed and the rate would be similar to the boulder, so we could understand the possible cause. So after I do all the measurements and after I take all the measurements, after I've done my observations, after I've created my hypothesis, right, and I've done the measurements, done the experiments, come up with the formulas, all that stuff, we would take that back to the lab, and then we would determine what the potential cause is. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And then we could go from there. And that's how science works.
Oh, sorry, the original question was, how do we establish the cause? And so far, we've gone up to the top of a hill, we've taken a lot of measurements, we've figured out how fast it rolls down the hill. Then we're going to take the rock back to the lab and go from there to figure out the cause. So the original question was, how do we figure out the cause? So far, we've done a lot of nonsense, not figured out the cause, and then handed it over to scientists to figure it out? Is that what you're saying? This sounds like a really good method.
The scientists are the ones taking the are the ones doing the observations and taking the measurements and doing the experiments, and they're taking and it's the same thing with a detective. When they go to the scene of a crime, they have to gather up all the information taken by the CSIs, taken by the investigators, this, that, and the other, and they have to go back and figure out the cause of the crime. It's the same.
You watch too much TV.
It's not too much TV. This is I have fucking relatives that are
Stop swearing. Right, last chance. Hold on, everyone. Hold on. That's the second time you've sworn. Don't swear on my show. Now, I'm going to ask again. How do you establish the cause? So far, you've given us a load of stuff that doesn't establish the cause, and then told us that we're going to go back to the lab and take it from there. But the question is, the take it from there bit is the bit that we want. How do we get to the cause? Because so far, your method has achieved nothing, except for doing stuff that gives us the speed of a rock falling after you've pushed it down a hill. And then we're going to hand it over to the lab so that they can establish the cause. And I want to know what they will do, given that they're doing science also, after your science, otherwise known as nonsense. So tell me how they establish the cause.
I think he needs help, Nathan. I don't think he understands.
So it's the same people. It's all the same people. We're not handing off.
I don't care about the people. How do they elucidate the cause?
No, this is what I'm trying to explain, right? I'm trying to explain to you that. So the way they elucidate, I don't know why you keep using the word elucidate, but the way that they figure the cause out, right? The way that they come to that conclusion is they look at all of the data, and if the data converges onto one answer, then that would be the cause. And that's how you figure out the cause. Now, I have a question for you.
No. That's not an answer. So in your example,
that's not an answer that you like.
Sorry. In your example, you've got all of the data. So from that data, how do they extrapolate out the cause of the rock falling? How do they do that bit?
I get it, right. So the data converges on one answer. It will, right? That's the nature of collecting data. It will converge into one common place, or a common enough place to say that that's most likely the answer, because that's what science operates under. It doesn't operate in absolutes. Right?
Yes, it does. Science is an empirical method. It elucidates the cause of an effect. You establish whether or not you have predicted correctly the cause of the effect, or you have not. It's empirical because it has both an alternative hypothesis, your presumed cause of the effect, and a null. The null gives you the empirical nature of the scientific method. It proves the cause of an effect. You telling me that you gather a load of data and the data will point towards what's most probably the cause tells me that we're dealing in probability. Again, that would be mathematics. Definitely not elucidating the cause of an effect, but giving you a probability based on data sets.
No,
not science. Shut up. Not
but you're
science.
Wrong about math. You're wrong about math.
Science. What you've told us is not science, it's maths. And it gives you a correlation, a probability, not a cause.
Okay, so you're wrong about math. Maths deal in proofs. Science does not. You've got that backwards. Maths equations dole out proofs. That's what maths do, right? Science doles out probabilities, right?
Well, Nathan, can you let Paul have a go? I think he wants.
I'm not getting where you got that. You're saying that that's flipped around. You're just wrong about that. Maths deal in proof. Science deals in probability. That's the nature of science. Because
that's absolutely outrageous. Science elucidates cause and effect through systematic hypothesis-based experimentation. It's an empirical method of elucidating the cause of an effect. The way you do it is you presume what the cause actually is, and then you go forth to vary and manipulate your presumed cause to see if it causes the effect or not. If it doesn't, it will confirm your null hypothesis. If it does, it will validate your alternative hypothesis. The method is empirical. If it wasn't empirical, nobody would bother doing it. So that on that absolutely ludicrous note from a complete bonehead, I will say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 stream, then stay tuned as there will be a short after show to follow. However, if you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley live stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. If you'd like to keep yourself entertained after the live stream is over, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Massive thanks to all who liked, commented, shared and subscribed. I've been Nathan Oakley and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
To form whole thoughts. If I was given that, if I was afforded that charity, I think that I could possibly articulate myself a bit better, but I haven't been afforded that yet. But if you wish to jump in, go ahead, man. I'm cool with that.
But really, you're making it more complicated than it has to be, and that's my point. Let me get my thought out, and you can disagree or you can agree and do whatever you want to do. You have to observe phenomenon. You have a rock falling down the hill. Okay, your hypothesis would be, was that a natural cause, which means would it be something in the environment that caused that, or would it be a man-made event? Somebody pushed the rock. Now your job in the scientific experiment is to nullify or prove one of those two options. That's what Nathan's been trying to say.
That's what I said all of that from the beginning, though.
But you didn't say that. You gave a lot of word salad.
Dude, because I'm being cut off like every 10 seconds. Every time I said a sentence, he would just jump right in.
Joseph.
And I wasn't even allowed to read out the whole definition of hypothesis.
And Joseph, you want to...
I said Joseph. The first sentence, and then he immediately jumped right all over that first sentence. And I didn't even have a chance to go from that point onward with my full thought. So you're
saying the reason why.
Hold on, man. You see,
the reason why you couldn't finish your sentence is because Nathan interrupted you. So the cause.
There's no manners here.
The cause of you not being able to finish was what? What was the reason? What was the cause?
So Paul, you're not wrong in that I did make it more complicated because it became more complicated due to the nature of the conversation being shifted in so many different directions because I'm being cut off mid-sentence, ask certain questions, so I have to...
Why are you being cut off?
Thought and come up with a whole new idea.
Yeah, but Joseph, why are you being cut off? What's the reason? What's the reason? What's the cause?
I confused myself at some point. I'm not
Spurs, he's talking to me. Spurs, let me talk. He's talking to me. I think you got talked over, Joseph. Try it again. Slow down a little bit and let's try it again.
Yeah, no, what I was saying is that you're 100% right. And it's because I was even confusing myself at some points. Because, like, if I'm not allowed to finish a whole thought, like, I get this is a controversial thing, but if I'm not allowed to finish a whole thought on how I'm trying to articulate myself, then I'm going to get confused. And if I'm being bounced around from place to place, being asked different questions about certain sentences or certain words or certain concepts, then I'm forced to have to try to come up with a new idea, and then I'm going to lose my original place. So I don't disagree. I actually don't disagree with you. You are right. I did make it more complicated, but I think that's because that's where the conversation was going.
Well, let me tell you, one of the issues we run into, hang on, one of the issues we run into, and this is something, and then we get caught up in semantics, but when you're doing science, you have to be very specific.
Right.
You have to be. You can't be general. And part of Nathan's job is trying to be very specific. And he's actually saying things to try to drive it to a specific place, because you can't keep it arbitrary. You can't keep it flowing and, you know, and fluctuating from place to place. And when you don't acknowledge something he's saying, that's what drives Nathan over the edge. You know, he's making points if you'd listen. And like literally you have to, part of the pseudoscience of astrophysics, you cannot determine the cause.
Hello? Hey, Ranty. I'm just making a coffee, mate, but you're in on the conversation. Everyone can hear you. You're just interrupting Paul, though. Sorry, Paul.
That's okay. Do you understand what I'm driving at? So the point of the science is determining the cause. We have star rotation. What's the cause of the star rotation? You have two options. Either the stars are just rotating on their own or the Earth is rotating. Those are the two causes. So you've got to eliminate, we got to prove one and eliminate the other. How do you go through that process? And that's what Nathan's trying to drive at. So the cause of the boulder going down a hill is either two options. Either something in the environment caused it or someone pushed it. You've got to eliminate one of those two options.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And if I was afforded the time, I could have gotten there on my own. But and I initially had jumped into the room how we could test that the Earth is spinning. And that's where I wanted to start. And then we got into this pseudoscience conversation because I said astrophysics, and that's a naughty word, I guess. So it just got lost in the weeds on all this nonsense.
Joseph, we just want to know the cause and the effect. That's it. You're going off into other tangents. The cause.
Hey, excuse me 1 second, guys. I'm sorry. I've been trying to wait to get a word in. So whenever you finish, I need to get a word in. Thank you.
Well, I just want to understand that Joseph understands cause. All we're interested in is the cause. How did that happen? What was the reason the boulder fell? Like Paul said, was it nature, or did somebody push it?
Right. And the answer that I repeatedly tried giving you is that we would collect that data and we could see where it converges on. Now, I understand that might be a complex answer because it's not like a straight answer. But if you want me to give you an answer, let's say hypothetically the cause was nature, right? Then that would be the cause. The cause would be nature. You know? But that's a vacuous statement.
Yeah, but how do you know that, though,
dude? Like,
no, but you're not saying. But this is what
Can I get a word in, please, just for a quick second? It's just going to take a second. Now, but the problem was with that conversation was it didn't have a mediator. Because it didn't have a mediator, nobody was there to allow time for each side. So Joseph's problem here and what he's saying is correct. He didn't get a chance to speak and form his own thoughts. He was being led. And what he was trying to say is, let me make my own argument. Don't make it for me. That's what happens when you don't have a mediator. It gets unfair and gets unbalanced. And now a person is trying to think and he's thrown off guard. That's
what happened. He's the ball earther.
But it doesn't matter. I still have to be given time to formulate ideas. I'm still a human with a brain that operates in a certain way, dude. I'm not a machine. And that's what I'm saying. It's like,
so Joseph, as a human from another...
Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to be a human being here with you guys and just have a conversation. And
about what?
About flat Earth, bro. I'm down to have the conversation, but not if I'm gonna be just names are levied at me, and you're an ignorant this, and you're an asshole that, and blah blah. Because I disagree with you, bro. Are you
listen, Joseph? Let me see if I can get you up to Joe. Let me see if I can get you up to par.
Holy shit!
Listen, Joe. Let me get you up to par. The reason why you're having a problem, just to very begin with, is there is no phenomena.
So we can talk about that.
That's not the problem.
Really, because the boulder falling down is not really a phenomenon. There is no super boulder. There's no superhuman in there. You're trying to create an observation that's really not to be not. It's really.
Really, to disagree with you. Sorry to back up a second. Sorry,
how
Joseph.
did the boulder fall? Was it like, let's say it killed somebody, and you wanted to know it crushed a car? They want to know, was it nature or did somebody push that boulder? So there'd be an investigation, and they would have to find out.
All right.
Like that would be a justified reason to do that experiment. But other than that, like there wouldn't be really, unless for safety, highway safety or something. Right. But like there's always a justified reason to do or figure something out. And the phenomenon would be the boulder falling down the hill. We can have the philosophical debate on whether or not that's a phenomenon, but that's a different conversation.
Hey, Joseph. Sorry, Spurs, just bear with me 1 second. Joseph.
Go ahead, Nathan.
The reason you're getting cut off is because you are asserting things that are incorrect. So at the point that you start telling me that science is interested in guessing or draws correlations, I'm going to point out that you're wrong. Now, throughout the entire time that we have had a discussion, you've done nothing but assert nonsense. And I'm asking you a specific question. How would we establish the cause of your phenomena? What process is employed to find out what caused the boulder to fall? Because that answer is the essence of science. Figuring out the cause of an effect. So yeah,
well,
I hadn't finished, Joseph. Yeah,
I understand.
That's another reason why I get annoyed I take a breath and you start talking. Yeah, 1 fraction of 1 second is how long it takes me to breathe in. It doesn't mean I've finished. Yeah. So while you blabber on about going up hills and then doing tests and making measurements, none of that is what establishes the cause of the effect. And that's precisely what I'm asking you to detail, because that's what science does. You just don't know how to do it. I know how to do it, and I'm listening to somebody very ignorant who does not know how to do it blabber on about climbing up hills and pushing rocks, making measurements, and then handing over to the lab. It's annoying because it's all wrong. You haven't answered the question. Now, in so answering, you would demonstrate to me and everybody listening that you do understand what science is, how to perform the method, and how it establishes the cause of a phenomena. Now, so far, we've got the phenomena, rock falling. Now, you need to tell us what method will be employed to find out what caused that. And you're yet to do that. Just word salad and nonsense. Incorrect on many occasions, hence me having to correct you. So, there's now 2 options for you. Either you say, actually I don't know how to perform the scientific method, please elucidate that, or you can carry on with your word salad and me getting more and more irritated with your ignorance, which is what it is. That's not me calling you an asshole. I didn't call you an asshole. I called you ignorant and a bonehead, because that's what you're displaying by your constant assertions that you need to take measurements. You haven't told us what specifically establishes the cause of an effect, in this case boulders. So maybe you can try and answer that question. I'll repeat it again now, then I will stop.
Please don't repeat it. Oh, God, please don't repeat it.
Or tell us how you do it then.
Please don't. So the way you figured out...
it then, please.
So the way you figured out is the scientific method.
Yeah, and what part of it establishes the cause of the effect? What is done?
What is done to figure out the cause?
Yeah, I've asked it about 16 times. Don't repeat it back to me. Answer it.
Tons of stuff is done.
No, one thing. Yeah, sorry, stop. I'll stop going to get angry. Everyone stop interrupting. No, not hundreds of things. One very specific thing. So you're wrong again. No. No, I haven't finished talking.
Give me the answer.
You've already answered. You said hundreds of things and you are wrong.
No,
This is why I get frustrated. You assert something incorrectly, I start correcting you, and you start talking. That's what ignorant people do. They get something wrong and then blabber on indefinitely while the person who does know tries to correct them, with them telling them that they're, oh no, victim, oh no, I didn't get to the end of my nonsense. Yeah, because somebody on the panel, me, knows you're wrong.
So give me the answer. What's the answer?
You've just spent the last 20 minutes telling us you understand
said
science. I am asking you.
Okay, so let's
stop
say
talking. Stop talking.
Let's say hypothetically
stop
for the sake of argument, right?
What you've just stopped talking.
Let's say hypothetically for the sake of argument, right? Let's say hypothetically I don't know.
Talking. We are not talking hypothetically.
No, I am.
I know. That's the problem, ignorant man.
You don't want to join me in that.
We are trying to establish how you come to the cause of an effect, and you want to talk hypothetically, indefinitely, with nonsense and word salad that doesn't tell us how you will empirically establish the cause of an effect. So don't tell me hypothetically. Don't tell me that I need to answer the question. I've held you to this question for the last 25 minutes. So, I'd like you to either keep giving us your nonsense and word salad and demonstrating to everybody listening how unbelievably ignorant you are, or concede that you don't know. I'm not just going to tell you. I'll tell you when you concede your ignorance.
That me saying no, I'm not going to sit here and call myself ignorant. I'm quite.
You are ignorant.
Well, you're telling me I'm wrong. That's an assertion. You're not explaining why I'm wrong. You're just saying that I'm wrong, and I don't understand how. So tell me how I'm wrong.
He's been explaining it for an hour.
No, he hasn't. He has the right answer. So in order to tell me that I'm wrong, he would have to explain his correct answer. Him not explaining his correct answer is not telling me how I'm wrong. So don't.
I haven't just. Sorry, I haven't just. Sorry, I haven't just spent the last 25
or whatever.
I haven't just spent the last 25 minutes telling the audience how to perform the scientific method. You have. Now, after that nonsense...
Now tell me where I'm wrong.
Sorry, can you just stop talking over me,
No, because you have to tell me where I'm wrong.
Yeah, you have to tell me where you're right.
My opinion is... That's implicit in me giving my opinion, you dolt. If I'm offering up my opinion on something, I'm assuming I'm correct in what I'm saying. So if you think that I'm wrong, you have to correct where I'm wrong. That's how that works.
No,
it's not I think I'm
you're
right.
Telling us.
I'm offering up my fucking opinion, so
Stop
I do
swearing.
think I'm right.
Is this because you're being obliterated with your own nonsense?
No, because you don't understand even what you're saying.
No,
you're saying
I don't understand.
You're saying that I have to explain
understand.
to you.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do
wait
understand.
A minute. You have.
I do understand.
Joseph.
Oh my God! This
Everybody
is
here understands the problem except you. Everybody on this panel is waiting for you to explain your shit.
I have explained it. It's been explained.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Can I say something, please? Hold on a
times.
second. Hold on a second. Can I say something, Joseph? Hold on. Everybody on the panel doesn't understand anything because I'm on Joseph's side here. The guy is not getting a chance to make his point. See, now he's
How is he
right.
not getting a chance to make his
Can I
point?
finish? Let me finish. Now the guy said,
I was asking him a question and you interrupted me. So how is he not?
My fault.
Now how is he not having a chance to get his point across?
Because the man just said that if you're going to tell him he's wrong, you have to show him where he's wrong. Just making a statement that you're wrong, that doesn't work in the conversation. You have to say where he's wrong.
Right. And that's all I'm saying. Because what the dude who was just talking to me before was saying, he's like, you have to explain where you're right. When someone offers up an opinion or an idea of theirs or a political opinion or whatever, it's assumed that they think they're right. Otherwise, they wouldn't take that position, right? So if my position on the scientific method and all of that stuff is incorrect, and he believes I'm incorrect, rather than just restating it and proclaiming it and stamping his feet on the ground saying, you're wrong, you're an idiot, you're ignorant, then show me where that's correct. Show me where I'm wrong, and then I'd be willing, to engage in a dialogue. But all I've gotten is grilled, and pretty much the equivalent to the presuppositionalist apologetic version, but coming from a flat Earth guy, of how do you know you're right? How do you know you're right? But he doesn't want to offer up any explanation. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
You're the one claiming you've got the method. You're the one claiming that you do know.
I don't have anything.
I have only got three words out. I didn't interrupt you, did I? I got three words out, ignorant man. So I listened to your nonsense and you're bleating and you're moaning about how you didn't get to speak. Now you're talking all over me. So...
Because you're calling it mine, and it's not my method. It's the scientific method that everybody can go out and fucking use.
There you go, swearing while you make a claim again. So you've told us that what you have detailed is the scientific method. So you've made a claim that what you proclaim is the scientific method. And I'm asking you over and over again to tell us how you get to the cause of the effect in your method. Am I going to tell you what the actual scientific method is? No, not until you concede that the last 30 minutes has been nothing but conjecture based on ignorance. And in actuality, you haven't got the vaguest clue what the scientific method is. If you did, you'd just tell us it and this conversation would move on. Instead, we get told that you're not making a claim when you've just made one. That you've got the method, that this is the scientific method. Well, what's this? What you've been talking about for the last 30 minutes? That utter nonsense you've been spouting? Well, it's not the scientific method, sunshine. It doesn't elucidate the cause of an effect. And I have spent half an hour correcting you every time you get it wrong, but you don't want to shut up. You don't want to listen to the correction. You want to keep asserting your incorrect nonsense, even though I try and put a stop to it and correct you. But it's victim status rather than listening. That's what's happening.
So give the correction right now then. What's the correction? Tell me where I'm wrong.
So you are conceding that you are just guessing?
Look, if that's what's more important to you than actually giving an explanation, I'm not giving you that at all. I'm not that petty.
Yeah, well, what is that? What is that thing that I'm asking for? Do you know what that's called?
What essentially you're doing is you're holding the answer hostage until I concede to a point that I don't agree with you on.
No, concede and have some humility that you don't.
It's not about humility. You think I'm wrong. I don't think I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong.
So tell us how you're right. Yeah. I know you've got no humility.
It's not that complicated.
Yeah. You're just going to keep talking, aren't you? This isn't a back and forth. It's just I talk for 2 seconds and then you interrupt. So if you don't have any humility, then suck it up and tell us how you're right.
Okay, so I'll explain it again. The scientific method, and I'll read it right from the wiki for you, right? It involves careful observation, applying rigorous skepticism about what is observed, given that cognitive assumptions can distort how one interprets the observation. It involves formulating hypothesis via induction based on such observation, experimental and measurement-based testing of deductions drawn from the hypotheses, and refinement or elimination of the hypotheses based on the experimental findings. These are principles of the scientific method as distinguished from a definitive series of steps applicable to all scientific enterprises. Is that an acceptable answer for you?
Yeah,
now
sure.
Tell me where that's incorrect.
It's not. Please, can you tell me, in that process, how you establish the cause of an effect? So that I understand. Oh, I hadn't quite finished.
It doesn't say. That's the answer to your question.
Yeah, I hadn't quite finished. My bad. It was only. I only get 3 seconds. You get to read entire paragraphs of things that you've not yet said, but are now saying for the first time. So yes, that would be correct. And I now want to understand that you understand it by you telling me the answer to the question that's been on the table for about half an hour. How in that process will you establish the cause of an effect? What's done? What part of that explains that?
It doesn't say.
Well, that's what we're talking about. So do you think this citation helps your cause?
No, it helps explain what the scientific method is.
Yes, it does. It does a very good job of that. Now, the question on the table, I'll repeat. How do you establish the cause of an effect? I.e., your example of rocks falling, that phenomenon, how are you going to establish the cause of it? You've got the method up. I want to know that you understand it, given that you've spent half an hour telling the audience that you do and explaining what is actually incorrect.
I would say deduction would figure out the cause.
Where does it say that?
Where does it say what?
Got your citation on screen.
Deduction?
Where does it say?
No, it says experimental and measurement-based testing of deductions. So I would say deductions would be how you would figure out the cause of things.
Not the experiments.
You would deduce to the most common explanation.
And where's the deduction stage? Do you think that comes at the end?
It can be throughout the entire time. It depends. It depends on the experiment. It depends on what you're trying to figure out, etc., etc.
Rocks falling off a cliff. What would we do, given that you've got a citation of what we should do on screen?
Deduction. Same answer. Deduction.
So you think that deduction will give you an empirical cause of an effect, do you? Well, it won't. That's incorrect. That's not what... Sorry, I hadn't quite finished. Again, you're wrong. I'll speak a little bit slower and see if you'll continue to talk. You don't have to like being wrong, but no.
Do you guys think that you could have a mediator yet? Because that's what's missing here. You just need somebody to mediate the conversation.
And I want you to tell me why I'm wrong. You just keep saying I'm wrong. Now tell me why.
Wait a minute, Joseph. Joseph, here's the thing. I'm going to mediate here and show you guys how this works out real nice.
Please,
now,
thank you.
Okay. Now, Nathan, ask him that question one more time.
Well, I'm just making a statement of fact. Deduction is not the process that you would use to establish the cause of an effect. So no, he's just wrong. It's not a question. It's just a statement of fact. He's wrong.
Okay. Now, how do you respond to that, Joseph?
Well, okay, so I've been told I've been wrong this entire time, and I've given my side, I believe.
No, I understand that, but just kind of like go over why do you think that that's wrong? In other words, you're stating deductions, and he's saying that deductions is not it. So what is your answer to that?
So well, the only reply I would have is I believe the answer to the question that he asked me initially was how do we determine the cause? I would say from deduction. Right now he's saying that I'm wrong. Okay, so I understand that. So now it's on him to explain to me why I'm wrong and what the correct answer he believes is.
All right, so Nathan answered his question.
Can I ask a question now?
No, not see, because it's kind of back and forth.
So deduction will not give you an empirical result. That's why it's wrong.
Okay, now Joseph, do you understand that?
I do, and it's a tautology. It doesn't have any explanatory power. I'm asking for an explanation as to why.
No, but hold on. I'm trying to, because I understood it. I'm trying to see if you understood what he's saying. What Nathan is saying is that deduction is not going to give you a total, like 100% fact. It's only going to give you a possibility. Now, that's Nathan's point. So do you understand that the deduction is only going to give you a possibility?
No, deductive reasoning is how we draw conclusions, almost certainly, right? That's how we can figure things out. It's through deduction. Induction.
Okay, now hold on. I heard you, but you said almost. See, that's Nathan's point. Nathan's point is that your deductions is only going to get you to almost.
Yeah, but what do we know to 100% degree of certainty? Like, name one thing.
Oh, experiments. Alex, I'll answer that, Slick. Do you see the first line? Do you want to read where with the first word being highlighted in blue? The scientific method is an empirical method.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that's going to give you an empirical result or a guess?
No, an empirical result. Yeah, deduction will. Yeah.
No, deduction does not lead you to an empirical result. There is a certain part of the process that is required to establish empirically the cause of an effect.
Yeah.
So that's when you do that, that would be called scientific discovery. Quite an important part of moving on civilization. And you don't understand what that is. But this, just to be clear, is your citation to back up your word salad that you're not going to concede is incorrect because you have no humility. So I'm asking you, the one with the citation up, to explain how we get the cause.
Still waiting to hear why I'm wrong. Haven't heard that yet.
I'm still waiting for you to tell us.
Mediate.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for. Yeah, you saying point. I don't know why I'm wrong. You haven't answered. Tell me, you, the one who says he knows about science and has brought up citations to back what he claims. Tell me how you get the cause at the end of the method, because that's the point. You tell me.
Through many ways. Deduction being one.
No, stop. Not many ways. We had this before. You said hundreds of ways last time. One way. One. Singular.
There is no one way.
Can I mediate, please? Just I'm begging you. I know what I'm doing here. What Nathan is saying is
I get what he's saying.
No, I'm mediating. Joseph, I'm mediating. Hold on, listen now. Okay. Now, what Nathan is saying is, like, take an example like boiling water. That can be empirically shown to boil at whatever it does, 212 degrees Fahrenheit. In other words, that's an established cause for an effect. So that's something that you can bank on and you can repeat over and over again. So what Nathan is talking about, totally experiments that can be repeated. Now, you're talking about deductions, and that's not quite the same thing. And that's what he's looking for from you. When you say what the stars are doing and all that, he's looking for that same empirical evidence that you can use to show how water boils, to show star rotation or whatever else you're claiming. So now do you understand that?
I understand, but this is the thing. So can you deduce that water will boil based on a certain set of circumstances?
No, science would establish the cause of that.
No, hold on. I'm asking him the question.
Oh, well, I'm answering.
You brought up deductive reasoning, right?
No,
so
you have a method. No, I'm answering.
Wait.
No, you wouldn't use deduction. Stop talking and listen to the answer. No, you don't use deduction. You use a method called the scientific method that elucidates the cause of that effect.
That wasn't my question. My question was, can you deduce that water will boil given a certain set of circumstances? Yes or no?
No.
Yes, you can.
So don't just carry on talking. You've asked a question and I'm answering. And I'm going to follow it up with the reason why. But like the ignorant man has done on multiple occasions thus far, every time I tell him he's wrong, he gets a bit triggered and carries on talking. Rather than alleviating his ignorance and listening to the actual explanation, you get triggered and carry on talking. Because no, you can't be wrong, can you? Yes, you are wrong. You would establish it with, and I'll finally tell you, what you have to do to establish the cause after about 45 minutes of you asserting that you know and not conceding, having a little humility that you've just got word salad.
Get on with it, man.
Yeah, I will. I'll drag it out as much as I like because I know you don't. So I'll take my sweet time telling you, and if you choose to, you can listen to a bit of my word salad before I actually get to how you establish the cause of an effect using this method. Or you can interrupt me and tell me how tedious it is as I drag you through this kicking and screaming so that you can understand at the end what I already know and you do not. So if you choose to listen, as you're not doing already, I wondered how much word salad I'd have to use before you'd start talking. If you choose to listen, I'll tell you the answer. The way you establish the cause of an effect is to first use your deduction to assume what the cause is, and then you vary and manipulate your presumed cause and see if it causes the effect. So that which you presume to be the cause is also known as an independent variable. And when I asked you initially, for the stars, what your independent and dependent variable were, the reason was because the independent variable is that which you presume will cause the effect. So, let's see if you've understood my explanation for how science elucidates the cause of an effect. Joseph, please tell me if you have understood.
You're finished?
Joseph, go ahead. Just don't get into that game. Just go ahead and see.
So you pretty much just said the whole thing I just
Okay,
said.
you know what, Joseph? Hold on a second, Joseph, before you go on. Now, you just sat up there and accused him of berating you, right? Now, look at what you're doing. Now, instead of answering the question, listen, I'm talking, hold on. Now, instead of taking the question seriously, now all of a sudden you want to start playing games. So you can't be on both sides. If you want to be serious, I'm trying to mediate and give you that floor so that you can be serious. So don't take the opportunity to start acting silly.
Look, I've been laughing the entire time at the things that I found silly. So he essentially just repeated everything I've said. He's just worded it differently. He started off with deduction, which is what I've said, which is what I've topped this whole thing off with, right? And then he said you would go around and you would modify your deductive guesses, right? So your hypotheses, which is in the definition of the scientific method. So there's nothing that's being said that's any different. He's just wording it differently. And
okay, let me explain to you.
Right? So I'm going to finish with this, right? I'm just about done. So we can deduce that water will boil given a certain set of circumstances. That's how we know it will boil, right? And we can deduce certain causes for certain effects based on a certain set of circumstances that we're in, based on a general law of something, right? Based on a general idea or principle that we've established as a part of natural science, right? This is not a controversial thing. Now that you've given your explanation, we agree. So we're not in any point of disagreement at this point.
We are, because every last word that you just said was incorrect. What you just said was the biggest load of nonsense ever. Firstly, you said a series of things that can cause the effect. That's what you said. So, so you think we are agreeing with each other?
We do agree. Yeah,
really?
because you said you would modify those different ideas, right? And
no, that's not what I said. No, so you didn't listen. No, that's not what I said.
You never said that you would modify. You never used the word modify in what you said in your definition after you've mentioned deduction. That's not what you said.
I would like you, now that I've explained it, to tell me back what is done to establish the cause.
We just agreed. It's deductive, right? To begin with.
No, it's not.
So you never led with that. That was the first thing that you said when you started your explanation.
Yeah, it's part of it.
I can see what's happening here. Listen, guys, I know what's happening here. Okay, I can clear it up for both sides if you'll listen a second. What Nathan is saying is, what he's talking about is reaching an exact cause and effect. When you're talking, let me finish. When you're talking about deductions, you're not reaching an exact cause. You're reaching an idea, a possibility. That's different than knowing the cause. Knowing the cause is different than what the possible cause is. That's where you guys are off track.
No, that's induction.
Let me finish. Let me finish. Now you okay? You don't understand that Nathan is saying that the cause, like when boiling water, is determined, so they know what the cause is. What you're talking about in deductions is possibilities. Now,
no,
that's what you're missing.
I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to correct.
I know that's not what you're saying. Listen, I know that's not what you're saying, but that's what your argument is going, because you're not. Hold on. Are you going to let me finish? Because you just complained that nobody lets you talk.
But you're not characterizing me correctly. That's
okay.
Why
well, then let me finish it. Let me finish it, and then show me where I'm mischaracterizing.
Okay, I will.
Okay. So now what you're doing is that you're coming up with these deductions, but your deductions are not stating exacts. Now, are your deductions coming up with exact causes?
That's what deductions do. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, while you're mischaracterizing what I'm saying. Deduction is the process of using the certain set of laws that we already understand to figure out, through a series of reasoning, what the cause of something is. That's one way we can figure out the causes, through deduction.
Wrong.
Induction.
That's wrong. There is no induction in the scientific method. You're a clown.
Man, who's talking in the background?
Talking. Like, how are the world?
I am. There is no induction in the scientific method. None. Zero. There's only induction and deduction. No induction whatsoever. Induction leads to probability.
Okay, so thank you for interrupting and making my point for me. So inductive reasoning.
Make your point. You said there was no cause effect in the scientific method, and then you're using induction in the scientific method, which there is none. You're a clown.
That's not what I said. I never said that. I said science.
Yes, you did. I heard you. I wrote it down.
Okay. You wrote down your interpretation of what I said.
I wrote it down.
I could repeat what I said, and you can go back and watch.
I don't need no repeating from you. You're a clown, sir. We're going to establish that on the live show.
You can have that opinion. That's fine. Right. But what I did say was that science is not a method that's exclusively used for figuring out the cause and effect of things.
Yes,
Science
it is. Wrong. Wrong. Yes, it is. And we're going to show that on the next show. Please state that. Did anyone write that down? Anyone write that down? He said it wasn't cause and effect that was exclusively used in the scientific method. The same thing he said at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Very annoying. People who don't like being wrong will constantly interrupt you when you point out that they're wrong, because they get triggered.
They don't. It's not that they're wrong. He's saying that he didn't say it. He just said it 5 seconds ago. He said it at the beginning of the show, and then he said he never said it. It was my wrong interpretation. You're a friggin' clown show, sir. That's all right. Hold on to the live show, and we'll share my screen, and we'll get the case.
We're still in the after show, so I'm going to round that out. So if you are watching, well, you are definitely watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 if you tuned into this premiering stream. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to everybody who has joined us in the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream. If you need something to keep you busy after you've watched this stream, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Massive thanks to all who liked, commented, shared, subscribed and super chatted. I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!